Hi, and welcome to What Do You Think About with Lucy and Verity. What do you think about the Melbourne Cup, Lucy?
Well, I think that it's probably not these. I think it's probably a little more beige,
A
honestly.
bit more beige than that.
Yeah.
Geez, that's an effort. What
Well,
about?
this is white, not beige.
It looks a bit beige compared to the white next to it. Can we just
I-
Google the Melbourne Cup, or at least talk about it first?
Alright, so we already don't have agreeing opinions on the Melbourne Cup, which is an interesting one.
Should we perhaps just mention what it is for our overseas viewers?
Yeah, alright, so the Melbourne Cup, in short, is we race horses to their death in Australia as a public holiday / very profitable commercial venture. It's huge cruelty to animals, there's drugs, there's all sorts of things that go on with the horses. They're terrible lives.
I don't know that there's drugs. Like, that would be illegal.
No, there's history of them
Well,
being
we
drugged
can look that up.
Part of the aerosoled blood that they cough up through their nose can be from drugs.
Oh, well, okay. So, yeah. Anyway, so the Melbourne Cup is also just a big part of Australia's history and culture. And it's the most biggest of all of the races each year. And in most of Australia has a public holiday on Melbourne Cup Day, which is the 3rd of November each year. Famous horses like Farlap are famous for the Melbourne Cup. Yeah, it's kind of an epic event where everybody dresses up and has time off at work, if they are at work, and days off from work. But it's controversial these days, and there's more and more objection to it because horses die or get injured in severe ways that require them to be euthanized.
And they'll get euthanized on the court as well.
Yeah. So today, an example of that is in today's Melbourne Cup race, Anthony Van Dyke was euthanized after breaking his fetlock during the race. And in the past, there have been other horses that die during this race. So for profit and for entertainment, people run horses potentially to their deaths, and so that's why we're going to have a chat about it. Just before we came on the air or came onto this recording, Lucy was telling me, well, they're just horses.
Well, they are.
So, how about you share your view on that?
Alright, so here's my take here. So, the thing is, it's a profitable venture and we live in a capitalist society. It's not going to go anywhere. The reality is that something that's profitable is not going to go anywhere unless we have substantial shit that makes it not profitable. As we've seen with other things that are controversial, they'll keep being done. Like fucking chocolate companies using child labor for cocoa. That's used all the time. It's not talked about, but it's something that happens.
It's kind of is talked about because we can buy ethical chocolate.
Well, yes, but people don't. They just buy Cadbury. So
well, we don't know how ethical Cadbury is, so we probably shouldn't say that.
I looked exposés on it actually.
Have you? So
yeah.
it's not okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a bit while we're on that. I know of an ethical chocolate because I have a packet right here, and I'm just going to advertise them because they apparently are the most ethical. Green and Blacks, and this chocolate that I ate the other day, or over a week or so, I should say, was really, really yummy. It's a dark, smooth chocolate with raspberry and hazelnut, which was delish.
Sponsor us, by the way.
Yeah, please come and sponsor us, Green and Blacks.
Yeah, we'll show you off.
I would definitely, or at least send me some chocolate. That'd be great because I enjoyed it a lot. Anyway, yes.
Anyway, so back to the point though. The thing is that in a capitalist society, especially in current capitalist society, companies will continue to do what makes them money. And the Melbourne Cup is multi-million-dollar
industry.
Yeah. Like to the point that it's extremely profitable. There's a national holiday that is not done in every state nowadays because of resistance.
Keep talking.
And
did I just type it right? Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Wow, what a surprise. Basically though, the
go off for images. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Keep talking.
So the whole point though, from my perspective, is yes, it's horrible for the horses, and no, we shouldn't encourage it, But the reality is that it's not going to be banned no matter what shit we kick up about it, and we've got bigger problems like the entire Earth boiling itself, and that's probably more important than some horse dying every year.
Well, so it's a binary, is it? We only have to worry about one problem.
The reality is that people don't worry about multiple problems at once.
Wow, you've got a cynical view today.
Am I wrong?
Well, no. Yes and no. It depends on who you're looking at. Like, I think that some of us actually recognise that we can work on multiple things at a time. That we are capable of multitasking.
The general public will rally behind one primary focal point, such as Black Lives Matter becoming the primary focal point of the entire debate.
But then they
in
also
America.
will protest refugee stuff and those sorts of things.
Yes,
as well.
but the protests of refugees and stuff are completely invisible now because it's all about Black Lives Matter movement.
But I think the other thing is to remember, like the Melbourne Cup, Canberra, the Australian Capital Territory, discarded the public holiday for Melbourne Cup. Day, I think it's called, for a different purpose that doesn't promote, number one, gambling, and number two, cruelty to animals.
Yeah.
My position is different to Lucy's, I guess, because I just think we care about how our pets are treated. We think we're supposed to be treating animals appropriately, but we still do stuff like Melbourne Cup as a sanctioned commercial activity that everybody says, bets on and that sort of stuff. So 2 horses died in the 2018 Cup, so 2 years ago. So that says 2 of them died, 2 jockeys suffered broken bones, and 1 horse bolted off the course, but the race continued. That must be talking to about a different year. Fast forward to 2018, and the Cup has taken another victim. The Cliffs of Moher became the 6th horse to die as a result of the race since 2013. Wow. So yeah, it just happens regularly, doesn't it? It's if that was in 2018, it was 6th one, and now we've got another. I don't know about 2019.
This is perhaps the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
What?
Does a horse feel when it's hit with a whip? There's no evidence that it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, well...
That's dumb.
Obviously, if it's actually having an effect, they feel it.
Can you die from being... These are the dumbest questions that anyone would Google.
I'm going to read the questions. Are horses abused in racing? Well, duh. Why do horses die when they lay down? I don't know. That's another topic, I think. Because they're not lying down in a race unless they're in trouble. So, do horses feel pain when whipped? Well, we've discussed that. How many horses died in the Melbourne Cup 2017? Did a horse die at Melbourne Cup? Well, duh, yes.
Yeah. A legendary horse died.
That was back in 1992. How many times can a jockey hit a horse? Well, I guess it depends on their fitness. I'm sorry, that was a bad answer, but can you die from being whipped? Well, duh. Why do jockeys whip their horses? How many times did Farlap win the Melbourne Cup? How much does the jockey win in Melbourne Cup? How much did Michelle Payne get paid for winning the Melbourne Cup?
Okay, so
all
whatever.
Right, that's enough of that.
So basically, though, you should pose...
Can we go to this, Peter?
No. Pose your argument.
My position is we just shouldn't be openly and obviously being cruel to animals for entertainment. How is that okay?
Are you not going to give a more in-depth answer than just animals? Is that it?
Well, there's gambling and things like that, if that's what you're getting at. But, I have concerns about gambling as well. And especially as it's a nationally sanctioned gambling day. That's a pretty big deal. But to me, the bigger issue is the animals. Like I don't see how it's a conscionable thing. Just because the majority of people get pleasure out of it doesn't mean that it's okay, right? Like it's just,
people let their cats out to kill birds all the time. What's the difference?
Well, there's not much difference. Why does there have to be a difference?
The point
is that people tend to choose what they want more. And in the case of the cats, it's like they think the cat should be able to roam free or they don't care. And so the same thing goes with horses. But that doesn't mean I can't have my position. Why do I have to comply with everybody else's point of view? Can we actually look at the page that has the info?
Well, Peter is an extremely biased source.
We'll go to The Guardian. That's not.
The Guardian is also biased.
No, go and look at it on the fact checker thing that we had up the other day. Open a new tab. You'll have it there. Media bias fact. There it is. So just while Lucy's doing this, we did make another video the other day, but we had some problems with our recording. We were live streaming and the
That
audio
was my
didn't
fault.
go through.
I fucked up some stuff.
Yes, that was Lucy's fault.
See, mixed.
See, mixed a bit. That doesn't mean it's not. They're left of centre. That doesn't mean they're terrible.
But look,
If they were right of centre,
but that's below mostly factual.
Sorry, just for the record, no one can see me pointing at the screen.
But let me just point out that this is.
Yeah. No. I get that. But okay, so let's go to another news source then. Find something else. There'll be stuff. Just find stuff. Australian Ethical. What's that? A blog.
Let's do SBS.
All right. Put them in the media bias fact check. SBS.
Yes.
It's only 3 letters. You can do it. Left center. So they're close to the middle. Just go to it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're much more factual though.
Yeah, very factual. All right. What do they say? Why controversy surrounds this year's Melbourne Cup. While more than 2 million people in Australia are expected to watch Tuesday's race, a recent expose on the mistreatment of retired racehorses has given anti-racing activists the fuel to spread their message further.
Once heralded as the race that stops a nation and a quintessential part of the Australian life, the country's most prestigious horse race is being staged this year, surrounded by a heightened controversy.
At 3 p.m. on the first Tuesday of November, that's right, it is actually not a specific date, a public holiday in Victoria, Australians will once again gather in their homes, offices, at the bookmakers and the tracks to watch 20 of the world's best racehorses battle it out for $8 million in prize money. Jeez, it's a lot.
A total of 2.65 million people across the country watched the race last year. A similar audience, but there was a substantial drop in 2016. Australians are turning away from the 158-year-old institution and saying nup to the cup this time around, following a 2-year investigation that released last month to the treatment of discarded racehorses and the spate of horse deaths following previous cups.
During previous cups.
Oh, during.
6 racehorses have died as a result of the Melbourne Cup since 2013, a fact pushed by animal welfare groups encouraging punters to boycott the event. What was the date of this article? Can we just go back
2017.
Oh, so it's a few years old. Okay. In horse racing more broadly, the Coalition for the Protection of Racehorses found 122 horses that died on Australian tracks in 1 year.
But that's more.
This is what I'm talking about. That's a lot of races, right? But that's a lot of horses dying just from running around a circuit to entertain people. It's not really right. If it was dogs, like, we'd be kicking up a fuss about that. We already do with greyhound racing, and that's starting to get shut down.
Yeah, but the difference is with dogs is we empathise with dogs. We don't empathise with horses.
We should empathise with people that know horses. Empathise with horses. Just because you're mega allergic to horses doesn't mean they don't deserve our empathy.
Yes, it does.
Just for the record, Lucy is so mega allergic to horses. I've never seen anyone react the way that she reacted to horses. When she was very little, we went and watched a horse thing, and she sat there with her hands in front of her face, with her nose running into them like a tap, and just looked at me bleating for help because it was so bad. Anyway, so she has a negative view of horses, I think.
I think that inherently in our capitalist society we have bigger concerns than fucking horses.
What? No. Well, I don't think it's about what's bigger. I think we can cover both. I think that it's really silly to think that we should have be limited to one issue or just a few issues.
I think,
or just a few big issues when we can still deal with other issues.
I think, unfortunately, that's not how democracy works in the current era, though, Verity.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean that democracy inherently is extremely mono to duo faceted. You're going to look at one topic and make that one topic your big driving force of your campaign. You want that one slogan, that thing that'll make people vote for you. The big topic issue for Trump was Make America Great Again.
Yeah, but
Biden's I'm not Trump, vote for me.
Yeah, but none of those actually are real issues at all.
They're not. But that's how democracy works, is they'll say, one of the biggest things I'll deal with is climate change. They'll just say it broadly like that. Right?
So are you saying we shouldn't care about anything unless it's going to get someone elected or not?
My point is that's all that will matter to politicians and the people
why do we
that
care about
can
what
make
politicians think?
Because they're the people who will make legislation.
Yes, but then people on the ground, like you and me, are the ones who become politicians. They just step up and decide that they're passionate about an issue. You're right. Like they might have one or or a few things that they want to focus on individually, but that doesn't mean that's all that gets attended to.
But the issue is that the moment that they
And it's actually not just about the election process. It's about what happens after that.
the issue is though that for their constituents voted for them specifically on those things, and they could lose voters by taking a stance on anything. Therefore, they won't.
Well, that can be a problem, but that's an individual thing. You look at how people respond to Jackie Lambie. Like, love her or hate her, she is passionate about the stuff she cares about, and she will stand by what she believes in 99% of the time. And people respect that. The latest, look for her in news, because the latest thing she did, we could even play it because it's pretty good. The one about university funding.
ABC, that's fine.
Is that it though, or is that just a thing?
Oh, it's a conversation.
No, that's not what we want. Look, Google university funding as well with her name, and you'll get it as a news item. Hopefully there's the video in there.
It got harder for working class kids like me to go to university.
Yeah, we're not just trying to read the article, we're looking for the video of her speech.
Oh, you want the video?
Yeah.
This one? Or is it really recent?
It was actually in Parliament, so
condemning uni fees?
That would be it.
Alright.
So might as well play
When
it.
you live in Sydney or Melbourne and your parents both went to uni and they're professionals who work in white-collar jobs on computers in air-conditioned offices, you grow up seeing every day what's available to you. You don't question it. It just happens. But that's not what it's like on the northwest coast of Tasmania. Certainly not in my day, and it's not how I saw myself. For me, I went to TAFE. I studied the same place as my mum. My dad, he drove trucks. And when I was a teenager, I lived in public housing. I dropped out of year 11 and I joined the army. And don't get me wrong, I'm proud of that. I'll always be proud of that. I'm proud of where my experiences in my community got me, and it was a good life. And I'm so proud of all the decent people on the northwest coast and living in the rural and regional areas of Tasmania who quietly do so much to make our state and our country a better place to live. But I know what opportunity means to many in those rural and regional areas of Tasmania, and I know what it means to sustain it or to suffocate it. I know how hard it can be for people who live there to make their way into a place like this. It's still too hard. We aren't living in a land of opportunity yet, and it seems to get further and further away. And I'll be damned if I'll vote to tell those kids in those rural and regional areas of Tasmania that they deserve to have their opportunities suffocated in a way they'd never even know. I'm not doing it. I'll never do that. I don't care what you offer. You can offer me $1 billion for Tasmania, but I won't sell out our kids in Tasmania. I will never do that, nor will I ever sell any other Australian kid out when it comes to their education. I will never, ever, ever do that. I'm not going to be the one that gets here and tells them to bugger off because I'm right. I've got mine. I refuse to be the vote that tells poor kids out there, or those sitting on that fine line, no matter how gifted, no matter how determined you are, might as well dream a little cheaper, because you're never going to make it, because you can't afford it. I can live with the way I'm voting. I'll hold my head up high, and if I lose votes for it, I'll lose them with pride. If I lose my seat, I'll lose it with pride. I didn't get into politics to dim the futures of the people or our kids. I'm here to help. And if the price of staying in politics is betraying the people I'm here for, I'll leave with grace. My future isn't worth more than theirs. My goals, my hopes and dreams aren't more important than our kids. I'm here for them. We're all supposed to be here for them. We're supposed to be here so they have a decent future, and we lay that out in front of them. This will become law, and I'll go back to them and say, hey guys, I tried. I really tried. I did what I could, but I fell short. I'll say to them, if I had a degree, maybe I may have won the day. Maybe that would have made me a little bit smarter on my feet, who knows? And I'll say that. If you're sick of people who've never known the kind of life that I've seen or they've seen, deciding on what's on the menu for people like you, beat them at their own game. If the tools it takes to win are only available to the well-off, they'll keep winning and we'll keep losing, and the divide between the richer and poor will keep getting greater. That's where this country is going.
So there you go. That's an example of how not all politics is as cynical as you think.
But the reality is that that's a no-lose situation. Her saying that will win any constituent. The only people that would oppose that are the far right, and the people that she is clearly appealing to and who her voter base are rural people.
Well, no, they're from Tasmania. So basically, Jackie's position in government is that she's one of those deciding votes because she is not in Labor or Liberals.
Yeah, so for context,
so-
Labour is our left sort of party, and Liberals are our extremely right party.
Yeah, our Labor Party isn't really that far left. It's probably more centrist.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but it's made up of factions very much like the Democratic Party. And
it can be more
so
left
there is,
in some states.
some
and stuff
parts
like
of it
that.
are left, further left, and some parts of it are further to the middle.
And some are actually just straight right.
Yeah, well, there can be a bit of that. But anyway, so generally speaking, though, they're a progressive party in the two-party system. And we do have other parties, but the Liberals and the Liberals and the Labor Party are the two major parties.
We actually do
She is
have
not in
independent
those, though.
parties that actually do matter in Australia. Imagine that, though.
Yes. Anyway, so getting back to our original topic, because we're getting off track, the cruelty towards racehorses is an issue. And I think my position actually is I think it's one of those things that will inevitably be off the table and will inevitably turn out okay, in the same way that marriage equality did. We all knew eventually it would happen, but the advocacy is required to get it over the line, and that people needed to be fighting for the issue at hand, and the same thing goes with this. So there are people who are protesting.
But the difference
race.
is with marriage equality is that's something that affects humans, and humans care a lot more about humans than...
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit cynical about that one.
Well, when it comes to human matters that affects themselves, like
yes,
gay
but
people...
the gay people are 10% of the population. They're not the majority. We had to get everybody else on board for that to happen.
Yeah, but that's
to make them care enough.
Yeah, but that's still...
Or enough of everyone else to care.
Yeah.
So the same thing goes with the horse racing. The people, in fact, the people who are participating, if we were to look into that, maybe we could find out how many people actually watch the race. Whoa, that's worldwide, I guess. What about in Australia? That is massive. That's so much bigger than I would have guessed. So people around the world watch.
Yeah.
What about in Australia? Can we get more specific?
See how profitable that is?
Well, that's massive, yeah.
Hold on.
Just change your question. Add the word in Australia.
No, I just want to quickly scroll through this. I might have it.
No crowds at the race due to Victoria's coronavirus restrictions. Around 1,500 people are at Flemington Race. Only 1,500 as essential workers. Oh, okay.
And
Victoria Racing
80,000 attended last year. That's actually really interesting.
Huge. It's a huge event, yeah.
But the... this guy made 1,600... Sorry.
Oh, and no one gets to smell them.
Oh.
Oh. Good on you, Mick. Good for you doing all that good work.
No, it doesn't say here.
Okay, but so can you go back and just amend your question to say in Australia? 100,000. So that's 100,000 out of what?
No,
25 million?
that's people usually attending.
Oh, that's people attending. How many people?
I don't think that's something that they would publicize.
No, they would, because they do statistics on stuff all the time, especially big things.
Well, they claimed last year to have 1.44 million people tuned in from Australia.
All right, so there you go. That's a rough answer. So that's, can we do a bit of maths?
Yeah. Australia population.
Yeah.
I knew where you were going with that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I thought, 25 million. So 1 point, hang on, give me a type into here. 1.44 divided by 25.
Numlock is off.
Why? Why is numlock off? It should always be on. 1.44, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, on 25. Times 100. Oh, damn. Thanks. All right, so that's nearly 6% of our population. It's pretty minimal. That's less than the number of gay people.
Yes, but that's almost 1 billion people who watch it worldwide. You realize how
No. The
profitable
worldwide
that is.
is probably the bigger draw.
But like
To keep it going, I mean.
and that's what I mean
Yeah,
though.
that's
As a
interesting.
capitalist venture, it's not going to stop until it's not profitable.
Although until something else is there to replace it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until there's something.
So they would probably just bring in other things people can gamble on, because gambling is the draw.
Well, they'll probably just find another animal and race that.
Not necessarily. They might raise people. You know, they might bring, who knows what it will be. But people love to have stuff to bet on. If they can find another thing that gets people betting on that, then that might be what they do. But they're also, you got to keep in mind, they're also on a lot of levels cleaning up the gambling world because of the damage it does to families and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think that's a part of the argument about the Melbourne Cup. It's not personally something that I have too much concern about, but imagine it probably affects people with gambling problems. So, you know, but for me, my personal thing is about
I feel like
horses.
people are going to gamble with or without the Melbourne Cup. That feels relatively pointless.
Well, they will, but if you don't, I mean, you know, I don't think that they would end it to end gambling, because that's not the point. But they might decide that you know, it's like the advertising of gambling is a big deal. You know, historically they cut off advertising of smoking, or cigarettes, I should say, in order to reduce the amount of smoking people do, and it was an effective strategy. So that's the sort of thing that they would change potentially. And there's a lot of advocacy against advertising that's gambling advertising during sports and stuff like that.
I have to say though that so I understand your arguments. However, the fact of the matter is that your arguments haven't really shifted my perspective in any meaningful way. I understand that inherently you believe that humanity will eventually do away with it, and I don't think that that's wrong, but I don't think it's a problem that people will focus on, and I think that inherently is part of my core argument. Yes, as an ethical dilemma, we should care about the horses. However, in a practical dilemma, our focus is generally limited because humans can only care about so many problems at the same time as a collective, and we need to focus on different problems.
Yes, I would agree that is probably a pragmatic answer. Yep. Especially when we consider that we're dealing with really big issues like COVID and
literally the world ending.
And the Trump election, the American election, which I'd just like to say, please, if you want to not have Trump, please go and vote for Biden, even if you don't like him, because if you don't vote for Biden, then Trump might just win and then you're stuck. And that affects everybody, not just you. So please do that. Anyway, that's enough on that election, unless you have something to say, Lucy.
No, I'm good. But yeah, the bigger issue is fucking global warming.
Yeah.
Like, it is...
Existential threat. But let's do that in another video, because this one's nearly half an hour long, I think.
Is it?
How do I switch? Where is it?
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so we should probably wrap this up. And please, if you have an opinion about the Melbourne Cup, put it in the comments. Leave like our video, hit the bell. What else?
All
Subscribe.
That. Also, if you can suggest any topics for us to talk about,
Yes, please
and
do.
We'll cover those too.
Tell us what you want us to talk about, because we'll just talk about anything.
Yeah, it's sort of what we do, apparently.
And we like to argue with each other, so you know.
And if there's ever a drought of things going on in the world, we can always talk about The Bachelor.
Or The Bachelorette. Oh my god. Oh my god. What do you think about what's happening in The Bachelorette? Okay, we're going to end it here. See you guys later.
Catch you later, guys.